Okay, so for my CAM Integrative Health, I chose 6 preventative stretches to be applied for mainly for computer users. That's a really big thing that I picked up on out there. Not just the office people, but also people in the factories that operate the big machinery. They sit in control rooms for up to 12 hours a day and get up to go to the bathroom, you know? So it's a really big issue. So I chose some 6 preventative stretches that I wanted to kind of challenge. And then I also chose the global rating of change scale. And I chose that so that I could kind of challenge the 6 stretches because they are something that ATI developed. And there's stuff that I think is missing. So I kind of wanted to challenge them, and that's why I chose this. It was a good opportunity for me to get an idea of what the patients would think and their ideas on it to get their take. So that was kind of why I chose that. The background of the 6 stretches, like I said, ATI developed them strictly for computer users. The issue that I saw with them is they are like a chin tuck back, which is good, and then there's a side flexion to each side, a chest stretch, there's a forward flexion. I think that was all of them. To me, those are really good stretches. Oh, and then there's wrist stretches. And to me, those are really good stretches for computer users. However, what I was kind of seeing across the board was a lot of people wanted some lower body stuff too. If they sit in a chair all day, or some of them, like I've gotten them into using standing workstations. So if they sit in a chair all day, that causes some chronic leg stuff too. So that was something that I was kind of wondering why it wasn't a part of it already. So I wanted to kind of challenge that with this opportunity. Okay, so the prom that I chose, like I said, was the global rating of change, and I did that so that I could get their starting point to where they thought that they felt like when they sit at their desk. So people who sit in the control room, a lot of people were saying, I feel so much worse than before I started this job. So that could be a lot of different factors. I'm aware of that. But part of that is if they're not used to sitting in a chair for 12 hours a day, that can have some serious effects on people. And it's the same way for like the 8-hour people that I have that sit in an office chair for 8 hours a day. A lot of them don't get up that often. They may get up and go get lunch, but they sit there and work on their computers pretty determinedly. Like those areas are pretty intense when you go into them. So it's something that I have noticed around the site that is a problem that people have spoken to me about. We have the preventative stretches, but there's still a want and a need for more preventative stretches, not just upper body. So that was why I wanted to be able to see where they started, and then I wanted to be able to track where they ended up after. And then what I chose to complement it as my clinician rated, I wanted to look at a scap wall slide. So they use part of the preventative stretches in that I had them do the chin tuck and bring their shoulders back so we get the chest open and the chin tuck against the wall, and put our hands up and you squeeze your scaps together and trace up a wall. And that is what I had them grade with. And a lot of them had a lot more of a problem with it than I thought. So that was something that definitely surprised me. When they say that they are doing their preventative stretches, maybe they are doing them, or maybe they are doing them and they're not doing them right. It's something that I was kind of looking at, and I'll talk about that more in a second. And I measured the data that I got. I used 10 patients and I measured them 2 times. I did a before and after. So basically how I implemented it was I identified some people that would be good risk factors to use these preventative stretches, people who sit in the control rooms and the office people. I tried to spread it evenly. I had 6 control room people and 4 office people. The office people, like I said, are pretty intense, so it seems like it would be the other way around, but it's not. So I had 6 control room people and 4 office people that I was working with. And basically I would go around, and when I did my normal rounds to go around and talk to people and, you know, make sure everybody's okay, see what's new, or just do like a follow-up or a check-in, I would stop by these people and see these 10 people, and we would do the stretches together. So I would just do them with them, and I would walk them through these 6 stretches. So I knew that they were doing them right because I did it with them. So what I did was we started out very first, I gave them the global rating of change, and then we did the stretches together for 2 weeks, and I stopped by their desk or their control room and did it with them. And then after that 2 weeks, I had them take the global rating of change again because I wanted to see if their overall take on their job or their life or their feeling overall what the patient was feeling, I wanted to see if that was improved. That's, again, why I chose the global rating of change. So the data that I got, patient 1 initially had a -2 on the global rating of change, and at the end of this had a 3. Patient 2 had a -4 on the global rating of change, and then after the 2 weeks had a 1. Patient 3 had a -4 and at the end had a 3. Patient 4 had a -1 and at the end had a 5. Patient 5 had a -2 and at the end had a 3. Patient 6 had a -3 and at the end had a 2. Patient 7 had a -3 and at the end had a 2. Patient 8 had a -1 and at the end had a 5. Patient 9 had a -1 and at the end had a 6. And patient 10 had a -4 and at the end had a 1. So overall, everyone improved, which is good, but some improved more than others. So after kind of working with them and watching them, it did make me realize that some of them were doing the stretches, but they weren't necessarily doing them right. So that was something that's really good for me to be aware of, so that that's something that I can try and fix while I'm out there. The scapular wall slides. So the office people were actually a lot better at the scapular wall slides than the control room people. The people that work in the control rooms also, most of them double as people who do the very hard labor jobs like maintenance people or utilities people. So a lot of them tend to have a lot of tightness and a lot of just overall range of motion problems. At least that's kind of the trends that I picked up on so far. So I kind of expected that, but there was an improvement in their scapular wall slides at the end in both groups. So that was something that I also noticed. Overall, patients were appreciative and they felt better. From what they said, their scores shows that they felt better on the global rating of change scale. So that was something that was really important. Something that I noticed from the beginning that I talked about a few minutes ago was there are no lower extremity stretches on the computer user stretches, and I understand the concept behind why they're like that, but I also think that it's important to have lower extremity stretches, and the patients also, without me saying anything, have also said that. They have, they get restless almost. Their legs just sitting there all day, 12 hours, they need to do something. So that's something I think I'm going to try to implement and become available. I'm going to try to break down the computer user stretches to an upper extremity and a lower extremity and make those available to them to try to sort through this problem. And that is what, sorry, I kind of jumped ahead. That's kind of my implementation plan in the future to work through it, is to do the upper extremity and the lower extremity. I have already showed some of them as part of a preventative thing, the ones that really had restless legs going on, stuff like that. I've already showed them some preventative stuff that I have planned and am looking to implement. So I've already gotten it out there. It's just a matter of spreading the word, more or less, and putting up pamphlets and educating people, and further that understanding. So that is all the questions that I've written down. So I will see you later.